Well, good day. Good morning. Thank you guys for coming and thanks for listening. I wanted to talk about today something that I've noticed that I had to use a lot lately, something called patience. The reason is I have family members that are siblings. I have a wife. I have children that are grown adults and grandchildren now, employees and folks that I work with. And with every single one of them, you have to use patience. You have to have patience. And I said what I wanted to talk about today, and one of the guys says, boy, if you don't have that, you ain't got nothing. And the reality is that, to me, this is one of the keys. I keep coming around to what are these keys that we have to unlock our own minds, because we are locked into these little prisons in our mind that we stay for years and years and years. And if you think about it, patience is one of those keys that opens the door, because everything changes when you decide or remember to be patient. And the thing is that if you don't have a mechanism in place to find yourself, meditation exercise would obviously be the one for me, since it's what I grew up with my father, and it's worked for millions of people. What happens is you forget, or you just don't care. Somebody says something nasty or rude, and you immediately, your animal instinct jumps right into play. One of my brothers, I got into a little tiff with the other day, and he said something to try and get my goat. And boy, did he get the goat. And I saw it, though. I was playing a little bit of a joke on him. I was at an office, and he happened to call there, and they came in and said, one of the Masters brothers on the phone, and I said, oh, let me get it. So I said, I'm sorry, the person you're looking for is not available right now. And he said, who's this? I said, oh, this is Alan Masters. I have to earn a little extra money on the side. I'm just not making enough for all my things I have to do in life. And oh boy, he made a comment that was like, it was, I thought he would laugh and he'd say, you're such a dummy or whatever. Oh no, he threw a dagger right through the phone and it hit me right in the eyeball. And I got mad, and I saw it. But what happened was I said a few things back to him, and then I just said, well, so-and-so is unavailable. And I hung up on him. He had to call back. So this is how brothers do each other. You know what I'm saying? But it was so funny, because I thought to myself, had I just let it roll off my back like water off a duck's back, as my dad always says, it would have changed everything. See, he threw down a dare. Are you man enough? And I did not rise to the occasion. I didn't completely fall, because I could have got into a big fight argument right on the spot, but we were in a business office, so I chose to just take the route I did, which wasn't the best route. So afterwards I was thinking, I said, gosh, I don't have enough patience. I don't use enough. That's a better way of saying, because I have it. It's in a storehouse of unused materials, but I just don't tap into it enough. So I saw that, and then I started thinking about patience. Man, I just don't use enough patience. And I started thinking about the things that my dad had taught me, because at this stage of my life, I can't go to my dad anymore and ask him, Dad, what do you think about this? So now I go to my father, who is in heaven, with the Father in heaven, and I say, what was it you taught me? And then I remembered, overlook on the spot with calmness, kindness, and patience. We've all heard this, right? For years. It's like the first reaction should be overlook on the spot with calmness, kindness, and patience. And then everything is up to God after that. Because if you overlook on the spot with calmness, kindness, and patience, then you haven't reacted improperly. You haven't been impatient. You haven't been, instead of kind, angry, right? Kindness is not angry. And you haven't overlooked. You have now decided to make a judgment. So the opposite of overlooking on the spot is doing, what I did. So do as I say, not as I do. But it's always a process, is it not? And if we aren't conscious of what we do in our lives and each one of the interactions we have with people, whether it be at the farmer's market. I was walking along at the farmer's market the other day and somebody bumped right into me. And instead of saying, excuse me, they just kept right on going. And I said, well, excuse me. And I thought, wow, some people are just so rude. They slammed right into me. And I thought, again, overlook on the spot, calmness, kindness, and patience. Otherwise, what do? You go, hey, Mac, what are you doing? You want to fight? Come here. Whatever. I mean, there's always the opposite of overlooking on the spot. I see it everywhere. And the more I am able to overlook, to not judge, which then remembers. Overlooking is just letting it go, right? Judging, when you judge somebody, you put it into the memory banks of hell. And you are ready to pull out like an arrow in your quiver to shoot it back at the person later on. And I saw a little meme the other day. It says, a meme. So I'm going to read it to you. A meme is a photograph that you put some little saying on. They call it a meme. It's M-E-M-E is how it's spelled.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yes. Yeah. Most people that are on social media that are under 75 know what that is. Oh. I'm just playing with you. So here it is. I have a picture of a beach, and I have a guy standing on the beach, and it says, trying to hurt me by bringing up my past is like trying to rob my old house. I don't live there anymore.
That's the one.
Right?
Good.
Right?
Excellent. Yeah.
So the thing is that when you judge somebody, you put something in your memory banks that you're going to try and hurt somebody with later on. And if you've ever gotten into an argument with your family members or your children, I guess that's part of your family too, right? But your siblings, typically it happens, they will bring something up when you were children. Like I remember arguing with my one brother one time who I'm older than. And when we were kids, I was probably 12, which would have made him about 7. Here we are 50 and 56 or 5 at the time. And he's still telling my dad that I'm such a jerk because when I did something when I was 12 years old. I'm like almost a senior citizen at that point. I am one now, but I thought to myself, you got to let go. You got to let go of all that junk. It's the overlook on the spot with calmness, kindness, and patience. So I was thinking to myself, how many of us are able to let go of the things our family members have done to us, our kids have done to us? Because guess what? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you don't let go of the mean things or the nasty things they've said, then why should they let go of the mean or nasty things you've said or done? They have no real reason to. It's like, well, good for the goose, good for the gander, or good for the one dumb buffalo, good for the other dumb buffalo, because that's what we look like out when we're fighting, is a couple of big buffaloes ramming heads into each other. I saw a picture, another meme. I'm sitting next to the man who doesn't know what a meme is, which was a buffalo in a field and a man walking up to it with his hand out like you put your hand out to a dog. And he's put his hand, the back of his hand out so the buffalo could smell his hand, as if the buffalo's going to come smell his hand. And it said something to the effect of, this is the photo just before Johnny got killed. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like the buffalo is so big, it doesn't take much for it to destroy us. And when we are dealing with our children, men especially, and some women can do it too, we just become huge buffaloes and run them over. I know I've done that with my kids. And I know I'm terribly sorry for doing that when they were little kids, because I was the hammer. And they were the nail that stood up, and I hammered them down. Mainly, I think, with my oldest, but I think I did it with my other kids too, a little bit. I think later on in life, now that my children are grown and have kids of their own, thank God my children understand what forgiveness is, because they can forgive their dumb buffalo dad when he was just a dumb buffalo. But forgiveness and patience, and that's another thing with our children, if I can just say for a minute, and for those that don't have children, So we all have, whether you have children or not, you have your nieces and nephews, which brings me to another point that I'll weave into this whole thing. When you are dealing with your children and you want to be willful with them because they aren't becoming what you want them to quick enough, if I can say it like that. We want our kids at 14, 15, 16 years old, or fathers want their boys to be men. Well, a 15-year-old kid is just a 15-year-old kid. Typically, a young man becomes a man around 40 years old. It takes that long, really.
Maybe then it may not happen.
Right, you're right. No, it's true. I'm watching my one nephew who is 40 years old, and he's been literally through hell and back, and he's finally become a man. But it's still, he's not completely there. Maybe it'll take the next 10 years for that final bit of the metamorphosis to happen, the wings of the butterfly to completely unfold and dry out from being stored away for so long in that caterpillar shape he had taken. But with children, if you aren't patient with them, coming back to the patience thing, if you aren't patient with them, then you pressure them and you chase them away. You chase them away. You could do that with your own nieces and nephews as well if you don't have children, with your friends' children who they call you Uncle so-and-so. I have a lot of kids that the parents say, "Oh, Uncle Alan's here." I'm not really their uncle, but a lot of these young guys that I grew up with, I'm the brother they never had, or their brother died and they adopted me as now you're my brother now, and you're their uncle, and so you have these kids in your life probably somewhere that you look at them and they aren't as far along as you want them to be, and you then make a little judgment and shake your head and say, "Oh, stupid idiot," or whatever it might be. But the reality is that you probably have somebody doing that to you that's much older going, "Why is it taking Bruce so long?" How old is Bruce? 48? Whatever. How old are you, Bruce? 59. Oh my gosh, you've been taking way too long. But you know what I'm saying? It's like as we get older, we look back and we are impatient with people. Hurry up, be a better person. But we can't do that. To each in his own time and ability. I said that to my dad one day when he said to me, "Why aren't you like your brother?" And I was like, "Well, because I'm me. I can't be like my brother. I can only be like me." And then I remember writing him a little note. I said, "Dad, to each in his own time and ability." And he says to me, "You're right." And then later on, 20 years later, he read the letter that I wrote him on the radio. It was like, "Oh my gosh, you didn't read that, did you?" But he read it because later on in life, he understood fully that he maybe shouldn't have said, "Why aren't you more like your brother or your sister," or whatever it's going to be. You got to just learn how to be patient with people. And you want God to be patient with you, don't you? Of course we do. Of course we do, because otherwise we judge ourselves and say, "Well, why would God help a wretch like me?" Right? Well, because you're not there yet. He helps you all along the way by being patient. Just him waiting is helping, not making a judgment of you before you're done learning your lesson, before the lesson is over. That would be like the teacher coming into the classroom in the middle of the test and saying, "You are getting an F and you are getting an F." It doesn't happen. You turn in the paperwork maybe on your last breath, and God says, "All right, here we are." But you have your whole life. God is patient with us. We need to be patient with each other. So talking about my one nephew, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I was there when he was born 40 years ago. And he has been through hell and back by his own choice. And he'll tell you that. He rebelled against the family and he ran off and did his own thing. And it was just horrible and sad to watch. And you want to, at some point, turn your head and look away and say, "Just go away. It's too painful. It's too painful to know what you're going through. I'd rather not even know. Just don't call me. Don't talk to me anymore." But you know what? My dad would never turn away any of his grandkids if they came to him with humility. And I noticed that all these 40 years since this particular nephew is the oldest nephew of all the nephews. There's, I don't know how many nephews and nieces, probably, how many is there? My wife's here, 15 or 20, I don't know, whatever it is, and grandchildren now and all the rest, and great-grandchildren to my father and mother. But this one particular one was a troubled one, and he would come back, and there he was over at my father's house, and I would be like, why do you let him hang around here? He says, because he needs somebody to love him. And love is not coddling. Love is not giving somebody something. Love is giving somebody your time and your love, your wisdom, and maybe just a few minutes to listen, lending an ear. So the other day he came to me and he needed some help with something, and he came with humility. He came with humility, and I'm finally seeing something in him at 40. Like I said, it takes kids so long to grow up these days. You think you're 21 years old, you're a man or a woman, and boy, you're just barely even getting going. You look like a man or a woman. You got all the right bits and pieces in the right places, and you can talk the talk and walk the walk pretty good, but you're not done cooking inside. You're still kind of in the oven. And so we must learn how to be patient with each other, our children, our nieces and nephews, our family members, our godchildren, and just be there for them. Be there sometimes to say, no, I can't help you this time. You're still way too far out there. This one particular one was going to move in with me one time. This was about 15 or 20 years ago. And I had a tractor, and I needed to mow the field. We have a field, a couple of acre field. And I said, all right, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have to work a little bit to be able to stay here. And he says, okay, that's good. I'm happy to do that. And I had just got all of his stuff. It was still in the back of my truck. And I said, so here's what I want you to do. While it's still cool, it's in the morning, it was in summertime, I said, I want you to mow the field. And right about then he heard a frog ribbit, a little froggy noise. And he says, Uncle, do you think there's frogs out in that field? I said, yeah, I'm sure there's lots of them. Oh, I can't. I can't mow the field. I might kill a frog. I can't do that. I looked at him right in the eye. I said, where do you want me to take your stuff? He goes, what do you mean? I said, you can't live with me. I said, if you're still that crazy and you can't mow the field because there might be a frog out there, I said, you're still crazy. I said, you can't live with me. I can't have you having that influence over my family and my kids. I said, where do you want me to take your stuff? You know what he said to me? To my mom's house. He was not willing to mow the yard because there may be a frog in the field. But that's the crazy mind, the monkey brain that will destroy you. It'll take you down that liberal, crazy, democratic road, if I could call it that, Marxist, crazy, weird road. But you know what? I didn't judge him. You're not ready yet. It's like, remember the movie, the TV show Kung Fu? And the blind Buddhist monk, whatever he was, he would say, when you can snatch the pebble from my hand, you're ready to leave, right? That was the day when you can snatch the pebble from my hand, or if you can mow the field without killing a frog, it's time for you to stay with me. But it wasn't, so he had to leave. But it's craziness. But you got to be patient. You got to be patient with your children. And if your children see the patience in your eyes, they don't see judgment in your eyes or disappointment in your eyes, then they have a little bit of hope and they come back to you. And then they come back to you with some of their good deeds instead of when they're in trouble. It used to be when my kids were younger, that, oh, Dad, I need some money, or, oh, my car's broken down, or, oh, my bike or my whatever's broken. Can I get some money? Now it's, yeah, I just bought and sold a house, just made a few bucks. Wow, that's good. Oh, I just listed a house, and my other son's a realtor. It's a really beautiful home, and it's going to sell real quick. Or my daughter, she just did a wedding yesterday. I got a wedding to photograph. My kids, now they come to me with their accomplishments instead of their downfalls. But if they have a downfall, they'll come to me knowing that I will give them sage advice, patience, love, kindness, thoughtfulness, and wisdom. I wasn't always that guy. I was the hammer. I was the hammer because my dad was the hammer with me. And you know what? When you have 5 kids, sometimes it's whack-a-mole. If you know what whack-a-mole is, it's just you're trying to whack the little mole's head as it pops out of the hole. It's a game you play at a pizza parlor, I guess, a place where they have those. But I recognize the value of this thing called patience now in every little thing I do. And boy, it is a test. And it's a wonderful test. If you look at it like a test, and everybody that crosses you, I didn't say crosses your path, crosses you while you're on your path, on your journey, you look at that as that opportunity to overlook on the spot with calmness, kindness, and patience. And you know what? You ain't going to want to, because your first animal instinct is to get pissed off, to get revenge, to make things even. And what I've realized in this last year or so of my life is all the times that I tried to get even, all the times that I tried to make things fair, was my will and not God's will. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, is what God says. And when we try to take and have vengeance, that we're not working God's will on earth as it is in heaven. We're working our own will on earth as it isn't in heaven. We got to get out of the way, overlook on the spot, be patient, wait for God to equalize things. Because guess what? You think in your life, oh, I don't have this, or I don't have that, or I was never good enough, or I never had a great job, I never had lots of opportunity like so-and-so did, and so-and-so lied, and that's how he got that opportunity. So-and-so was sneaky. So-and-so took advantage. So-and-so always uses other people's money to do this, that, or the other. And it's like you can come up with a million reasons. But the reality is, what profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul in the process? So if you just work, whatever your job is, whether it's digging ditches, trimming trees. Yesterday morning I went out early in the morning. I like to go out early in the morning, and I was walking around drinking a cup of coffee, and I looked on my lawn. We have a kind of a big front lawn on the side of our house. It's kind of a side front lawn. What is going on? There's a mountain growing in the middle of my lawn. A pipe had broken underground, and the water had swelled up under there, and I'd never seen anything like that. Have you ever seen anything like that? Usually the water would just come out. This lawn is so thick, though, I guess, the root system of it, that it literally lifted up a chunk of the lawn like Mount Kilimanjaro was going to just start growing in my front yard. I started thinking of that movie. What's the movie with Richard Dreyfuss where there was a mountain, and he started making a mountain of mashed potatoes. Yeah, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I thought I've got Close Encounters of the Third Kind, a mountain growing in my lawn. Anyway, I walked out there and I looked at that and I went, what is going on there? And I realized, of course, as I got closer, it was wet. I decided to cut that big chunk of lawn and just peel it back like a carpet, because obviously it wasn't connected to anything underneath, but it was about 8 inches thick and it was heavy. So I cut it open, and I remember just thinking to myself, wondering what it was. What's going on there? In my mind, I wanted to say, well, I know what's going on. You ever seen these kind of people that will analyze something before they actually have a chance to see what's really happening? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my first impression was, I'm going to go get all the stuff to fix this broken pipe. But I thought, no, I'm just going to go on an exploration. So I cut around it with the edge with a shovel, rolled it back, and all it was, the sprinkler head thing had come off. It's like a push-on fitting, and it had come off. And it's about big around as your little finger, the hole, so quite a bit of water could go through there. And it had filled up that thing, and it swelled up 2 feet high. And I thought to myself, isn't it funny? There was nothing broken. There was nothing broken. It was something that was a simple fix, like just pushing the fitting back on. I remember as I walked away thinking, isn't it interesting that we think sometimes when we look at people that they're broken? You guys are going, how does he go around in circles like this to come to this final conclusion? We look at people and we determine they're broken. They're broken before we ever even look a little bit deeper inside. And a lot of times they're not broken. They just need a little fitting pushed back on, a little thought planted in their head like, hey, don't forget, God loves you. God is watching you. God is there for you. And it's funny because they just forget every now and then. And they may look all bloated and funny like my lawn did, But you peel back just a little bit and you see it's just a little easy fitting. But we are so judgmental. We look at people and we judge them as broken. The way that I at first looked at my lawn and go, oh, broken pipe. And I thought, well, I don't know what's wrong with it. I'm just going to peel it back a little bit. And we can do that with each other. First of all, don't judge. Peel the onion a little bit. Ask a few questions. How's it going? What's going on? Look like you're having a rough time. When you approach something with that innocence, it changes the dynamic of everything you do. And it became a little bit fun for me to find what is underneath that ground right there. Instead of, oh, damn it. Because we called the lawn guy and he's Seventh-day Adventist. I guess they don't work on Saturday. And so he says, oh, you'll have to call somebody else. I don't work on the weekend. So my first impression was, well, we'll get the guy. But then I thought, I'm going to just fix it myself. I don't know what's wrong with it. And that's the way it can be with people that we meet. We can see these people that they may look broken. And we have this thought stuck in our head. They're broken person.
Some people are broken. I've been several places and been approached by homeless people. The last one was in the Safeway parking lot. And this young lady, she couldn't have been a day over 22. All her teeth were black and gone. She was looking in my car, and I was just, can I help you? And she says, and she didn't say anything. She said, are you hungry? And she says, here's a couple of dollars. And then she still wanted to get up, but they're broke. Those people really. My sister died of crystal meth taking it. And that, obviously this young lady was in that process. She's I don't see much hope for those. They were really broken.
If you think about Jesus, if you watch that TV show, The Chosen, he walked up to the lepers and all these people, and just because he was so good, he was such a good human being, he could see that this person is broken, and he was able to help them. So it still does work, believe it or not, with these people, because you never know that you may be the one on that very day that changes that person's life. So I always look even at those people as an opportunity. Now, I've had to shoo people off my property before for this very same reason. So I get it. If they're completely broken or they're wild animals, like I said to my nephew, hey, you're not ready yet. Go on your way. That's what I do. You're not ready yet. Go on your way. And if they say to me, how do you know I'm not ready? Well, then you know what? Sit down here and let's have a talk. So there's always an opportunity. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know where it's coming from till you peel back that layer of thick, grass, if I can say it that way. But still, I always try to look at the nuclear family and work out from there. Because if my nuclear family, my immediate children, my wife, my nieces and nephews, my siblings, whatever it is, if there's a lot of broken relationships there, and I have not tried to give a little bit of repair, I guess you might say, to that relationship, then I'm as much at fault and guilty as they are. And I told the story earlier about my brother, who we had this little confrontation. My first initial reaction was, to hell with him. And I went, well, he's my brother. Well, see, that was monkey brain talking. That was monkey brain. He's my brother. And I thought, I'll just wait. I'll just wait until he's more ready. He's hurt right now. He's living in his pain body. We're still dealing with the aftermath of losing both our parents just 60 days or so ago. So he's still hurt. He's angry. He's taking it out. He's lashing out at me and him and her and them and, God knows what. His intellect is giving him all the reasons he's right, the excuses for being the way he is, but that's not a godly way to live. It's not a godly way to live, because if you only listen to your intellect that gives you facts and figures and numbers and knowledge, not wisdom, then you're no better than that buffalo I talked about earlier, which is just a big, dumb buffalo. And they hammer and they hurt and they don't even realize that, they do such damage. And so I have to overlook on the spot with calmness, kindness, and patience, forgiveness, and understanding. Because truly, at that point, we're using a higher understanding of human nature and the foundation of human understanding, which is that we have to learn how to just overlook and be patient and let God do his will. Let God work his miracle. And his miracle for some people is the patience to wait until they're 60, 70, 80 years old, 90 years old, and one day they wake up and their whole life is different for that last few moments or those last few years or whatever it's going to be. I wait. I simply wait. I look at my family and I look at the ones that I don't understand where they're coming from, why they do or say what they do. And I think, well, I'll just wait and I'm going to be there. I'll stand ready. That was kind of my theme from 2013. I stand ready. And it isn't just I stand ready for one thing. It's you have to stand ready for all things. Because when you are challenged in life in a way, will you stand up in this moment? And it's like, this is one of those sayings, fear knocked at the door, courage rose up and answered it. No one was there, right? Because if fear knocks at the door, courage opens the door, fear runs away. So if I don't stand ready, when something knocks at my door and says, this one of your family members or their friends needs help, do you close the door and run away because you're afraid to help? Or do you stand up and say, show me what the problem is. Take me to that person. Whatever it is, you have to be ready any day, anytime, day or night. My theme is I stand ready. I've done that with my family since I was a younger man. And I'll tell you something, there's a I don't know how to put it. There's a kind of a reward, a spiritual reward for being there and being ready, because you know that you're doing the will of God. God waits for us to be his conduit. He waits for us to be like Jesus. Jesus did a fantastic job. Everywhere he went in his life, he touched people and it changed them, did it not? And even throughout the Bible, you see his whole life had meaning. And our whole lives don't have meaning. Our whole lives are sadly mostly wasted. And if you go through your life and you go through your life using the principles that God gives us and puts in our heart and gives us in the Bible and the Ten Commandments, and you stand ready at all times to deal with things in a noble way, then the ripple effect for your life is great. And I look at my father. The ripple effect of his life is great. And it's far and wide. All over the world. We get letters at the foundation, and thank you guys for your letters and cards and emails and things, because I do read them. But we get letters and cards from all over the world saying how just a few things my father said to set them on their path, which is the same thing as peeling back that big chunk of grass and just plugging in that stupid sprinkler head again, set them back on the path of life. They were lost for a few minutes, and he was just a lamp under their feet. Or he gave them this little tool that they can use to return to that innocence again, because they fall off the back of the cart and they get angry when they bump their head and scrape their elbow, and then they go through life broken and angry, and they just need somebody to just connect them back to God. It's not as difficult as people make it seem. You just do it. Nike, as much as I cannot stand that brand, I think of 666 when I think of Nike, but their slogan, just do it, is good. And that's right. You just got to just do it. Because the reason why Nike is a nasty company is because they supported Colin Kaepernick for kneeling when they, that's the whole thing. And they made him like man of the year and all that. So I won't buy anything Nike. I'm looking at my shoes, Adidas. Okay, we're okay. But I don't want to have anything to do with that brand or any brand that supports that dark way of life. So I make a conscious decision to spend my money on people and companies that stand for principles, virtues, and values. So today's talk is patience. And we need to use more patience with each other, with our children, with our jobs, with our garden, with our whatever it is. You can't, a watched pot never boils, you know what they say? You watch your plants in your garden and you're waiting, come on, give me a fruit. I have an apple tree. Somebody gave us an apple tree, a little tiny apple tree. It has one apple on it. One single little apple, right? And I've been watching it since it was the size of a little tiny little pit. Then it became the size of a cherry. Then it became the size of an apricot. And now it's just a little bigger than what you would consider an apricot. And I'm watching it. I'm wondering, when do I pick this apple? Well, it kind of looks like it might be ready. But if you pick it before it's ready, it's no good. If you pick it before it's ready, if you harvest before it's time, it's not ready. If you try and make your children be grown up before their time, understand life before they finish the growing process, you are willfully pressuring them, and it's no good. Patience, sensei, patience. And that's what is required of all of us, is loving kindness, patience. Yield to your Father in heaven. And if you don't yield to your Father in heaven, then your will push you ahead and it'll take you places you don't want to go. You should not go, but you go there anyway, and you know what that's like. Yield your will to the Father in heaven. Be patient, be kind, be loving. Do the best you can along the way. And as you are doing this, you will refine it. You will refine the process of what true love is. You will refine the process of what true patience is, true understanding. But it boils down to this: patience. Patience, understanding, love and kindness. And you will enjoy your life this way. If not, you will create a horrible mess. You will create a horrible mess. And most of us have. And the worse the mess is, the more the guilt is, the more the pain is, the worse the hell seems that we're heading to. So learn how to have patience with each other, with yourself, and appreciate that God gives us a good long life. On the way here this morning, the guy sends me a note. Big Chuck died. That's a guy that I used to work with, and I think, well, he's the same age as me. He says, life is short. And I thought, I'm 61 years old, and all of a sudden I'm realizing that life is pretty short. Although, when you're 21 years old, 61 seems like a really damn old man. But when you're 61 years old, 75 doesn't even seem that old anymore. How old are you?
77.
See? I mean, it seems to me like we're about the same age.
Yeah, that's
true. I mean, we're in that same part of our life.
Well, I have noticed people, they don't try to be what they are. They try to be what society orders them to be. And the societal rules are okay to a certain degree, but when it becomes the only reason you do things, then you're cheating yourself out of doing something that you could do from your own inner self, if you know what I mean.
I absolutely know what you mean. Sadly, we become part of our cultural upbringing. And you see people, I was thinking last night, I watched the boxing match between the guy from Ireland and
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor, and he broke his leg in the first round.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he broke his leg in the first round, and he was madder than hell. And I thought to myself, I looked at him, he's all tattooed up and all these tattoos all over his body, and he's Irish, and he's Irish pride, and he's that Irish way. And then the guy he fought is from Louisiana, I think, and he's got sleeves, which are tattoos, from the shoulder down to the wrist, and he's all tattooed. I mean, he's got a few tattoos here and there. And I thought, this whole thing with this cultural stuff that we get, put on us from where we grow up, who we grow up with, we have to literally get completely lost in the desert of life before one day we go, who the hell am I? Well, I've become what everybody else wants me to be. But what do I want to be? Who do I want to be? What does God want me to be? What does God want me to be? At the end of the day, that's really all that matters. If you do everything you do just because of the fans that you have out there and because of the culture that you come from and you are the king of culture for the Irish or whatever it is.
And he rose up so quickly, did so well, and in one brief moment in a bar, because his old man wouldn't drink his whiskey, he didn't want it, and he hit the old guy, man. It was just the most disgusting thing I ever saw. And from then on, it's been downhill. And the guy, no matter what he has, I know he can't be at peace with himself. Because
it's again, what profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul in the process?
And he did that exactly.
Yeah, and he's a broken man. Yeah. He's disconnected. He's disconnected from the source, the water source, in essence, like my lawn story. I plugged it back in. How do you plug a man like that back in? Now, he is so prideful. Pride goeth before the fall. When you rise up in your arrogance and your pride in this bad way, you can be hugely successful, world champion, this, that, or the other, whatever it is, huge, big Bill Gates, richest man in the world. But all of a sudden you start to see what they're really made out of, because guess what? At some point they're like, I don't care what the world thinks. And then guess what? The world starts to see what they really are like. And then you're like, well, I don't want to support that Microsoft man. I'll go a different direction. Just like me with Nike, not going to buy Nike, not going to buy Microsoft stuff anymore because of this guy who has world, he wants to do, what's it called, population control and maybe he had something to do with this insane biowarfare virus stuff, controlling how many people are in the world. It's sick. You know, these people are literally evil. And when you are full of pride, full of hate and anger, full of arrogance, those are all dark forces. Yeah. These people could do good with what they've been given, their talents or whatever it is, whether it's, I don't know, fighting, if fighting's a talent, but everything in life you learn a lesson from. And you either learn or you're destined to repeat it. You're destined to repeat it, and sometimes we repeat it multiple times with our family, multiple times in business, multiple times in life, and we keep going, man, what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. So if we aren't reaching for higher ground at all times, learning and yearning for the truth and the courage to do the right things, then even though we know the truth, we know what we should be doing, but we aren't putting it into action, then it doesn't do us any good. It's putting it into action, putting words and thoughts and understanding into action. And guess what? The more you try, the more the devil's going to come out of the woodworks and try and pull you back down to where he had you before, where he wanted you. So when life starts getting harder, one of two things is either happening. Either you're going the wrong direction and you better wake up, or you're going the right direction and you better keep going. You know what they say, when you're going through hell, keep going. Either way, you got to be conscious. You got to be aware, awake, conscious individual. So that's why I get up early in the morning, and I don't want to just lay there in my comfort zone. When the hands are at work, the mind is at ease. And our minds are so full of flotsam and jetsam that we need to have a mind at ease. Meditate, that's mind at ease. Work hard, sweat rolling off by the sweat off your brow shall you earn your bread. That's mind at ease, believe it or not. Earning your keep. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for coming all the way from California, even though you got here a little bit late. We do the Sunday Talk at 9 o'clock Sunday morning at the Little Foundation Studio in Grants Pass, Oregon. If you ever want to come by, call ahead of time. Make sure we're going to be here that Sunday. We're mostly here. Thank you for supporting the foundation. And check out the website, fhu.com, for more information and the Sunday Talks, and also links to the Perilous World Radio Monday through Friday. See you next week.
Put your hands together in prayer-like fashion. So you get your hands and put your fingers together, fingertip to fingertip, thumb to thumb, first finger to first finger. It's just like you're praying, but keep your hands all maybe an inch and a half, your palms of your hands an inch and a half apart. You got that? Keep it just apart, just a little bit like that, until you can just feel the heat, the warmth of your hands going from one palm to the other. Okay? Now, it might be a good idea if you closed your eyes, but it really isn't necessary this first time. I just want you to look at your hands, or close your eyes, either way. And now, what I want you to do is be aware of your hands and see if by being aware of your hands that you can kind of make them warm. Then thoughts come into focus. Then you see the thoughts you have to deal with when your eyes are closed. When your eyes are open, you are looking at the screen, or you're looking at the radio, or whatever it is you're doing. Then it becomes your thoughts, unless you get caught up in a daydream. But I want you either close your eyes or leave your eyes open. But if you choose to close your eyes, it's better, so you can hear me fine. Okay, now close your eyes if you wish. That is the better way. But concentrate. Just give your attention to your fingers and your thumb. See how they're together? Thumb, finger, first finger, second finger together like that. And see if you can be, just by being aware of them. Don't let your mind wander off. If your mind wanders off, you're not going to be aware. Your fingers are not going to tingle with warmth. It's like a little game. I want you to see if you can make your hands warm. When you're nervous, your hands get cold, clammy. All right. And when you're in control and you're together, your hands are warm. All right. That's only because nothing is acting on you. You're only together because nothing is acting on you at the moment. Start to get scared or frightened and start to react, your hands get cold, right? Sign of stress. You're not dealing with things right. Right now, let's get in control of our own bodies so the stress doesn't make our hands cold or make us afraid. Warmth will do that. There's a secret in the warmth of your hands. Now, concentrate. Not hard. I just want you to be aware that your hands are together in front of you, with your eyes closed. Would you do that, please? Bring your attention to your thumbs. Now shift your attention to the first finger. Now shift your attention to the second finger. And now the third one. Just be aware. That's all I ask you to be aware. If your mind wanders off, whoops, something took your attention. Don't let it happen. Don't sweat it if it does. Just notice that it did happen. Just notice that it did. And then bring your mind back to thinking about your hands again, being aware of them. You don't even need to think of them if you can just notice that they're there and feel the warmth. Just notice the warmth or the tingling of your fingers. First finger, shift your attention to second finger, and see at the same time you can feel warmth passing between the palms of your hands. See, first finger, shift your attention to the second finger, that's it. And now the third finger, go on. If your mind wanders off, now as though you're looking through the middle of your forehead, right there, with your eyes closed, that's you'd have to close your eyes for this one. As though you're looking through the middle of your forehead, don't look upwards with the pupils of your eyes, just notice that spot about, so halfway between the hairline, if you have hair, that is, and the eyebrows. Got it? Now, as though you're looking through the middle of your forehead, as though you can see little bright colors and like little atoms moving around inside your mind. There isn't that much thought when you do that. So you're just looking through your thoughts, and you're looking beyond your thoughts, and a flow of energy. You will feel warmth in those hands. And a lot of magical things are happening when you do that. I say it's magical because I haven't got time right this second to explain the physiology, the psychophysiology of it, the spiritual psychophysiology of it. But a lot of magical things are happening, and it's not suggestion either. One of the things that are happening is that what you know is right you'll be able to do. And the second magical thing that's happening is that you'll find that you can see more clearly about people, but it won't upset you. You won't judge them. Simple. That's all I want to say. Just be aware of your hands as though you were looking through the middle of your forehead, and you're going to calm down. But not because Roy Masters says so. It isn't suggestion, you see. It is real. There's a difference between something suggested to you and something which is real. Now, concentrate on your hands. First finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. Just shift your attention as though you were looking through the middle of your forehead. Okay? Keep doing it. The thumb, actually. Start with the thumbs and first finger and second finger, and keep doing that. No matter what I say to you, it's all to help you keep your attention, help you. See if you can do it yourself. If your mind wanders off into some thought process, in some daydream. You know, if he says that to me, I'll say that to him, and rehearsing some future encounter. Okay, just notice that's happened. Notice you're not aware of your hands. Feel the warmth of your hands. Just as long as you are being aware of your hands, as long as though you're looking through the middle of your forehead, as long as you just keep doing that like a cycle through the middle of your forehead, and you can almost see your hands sitting there. See if you can see an outline of your hands. Just be aware and shift your attention from one finger to another until you find yourself sitting there, noticing your hands and the thoughts going by you. See? You either see no thought, because looking at them kind of dissolves them. But only for a second or so, a split second, because they keep coming back and they keep trying to pull you in. And you keep looking at them. They'll tug on you. They'll keep pulling you in, but then you'll notice you're in, and then you're out. See? Then you notice you're in, and then you're out. Keep doing it. I mean, it's fun. It's a simple thing, and you'll feel a little anxiety, perhaps, and then it slowly disappear. Now, be aware of your hands, and feel the warmth. You feel the warmth in your hands? And you're doing it right if you're feeling the warmth. Don't try too hard. Just notice your hands, and as you notice, the noticing itself produces that warmth. And what you're doing now is communicating from your mind to your body. Your soul is taking control of your thoughts, and also taking control of the way you feel and the way you react. And there's a sort of a flow from the innermost to the outermost limits of your being.